Alright, so my first guitar ever back in 2008 was my Lion Acoustic by Washburn. This was my first introduction to being a musician. Of course, what I really wanted was an electric guitar, because what 10-year-old boy doesn't? But my parents got me an acoustic for Christmas, along with a small Roland Cube amplifier. I've had this guitar for 10 years now. It became the pen and paper for many, many songs to be written, especially for the Coulee-Men, my high school rock and roll band that lasted for 3 years. That brings us to another point. My Epiphone ES335 DOT. Eventually I chose this cherry red beauty to be just like Chuck Berry. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The Epiphone ES335 DOT is the more affordable version of Gibson's counterpart which Chuck would have played. It's got nice and hot humbucker pickups, Rover tuners, vintage style cream binding around the body, and the irresistible F-holes. This guitar was built to be in a rock and roll band. Aside from its classic sound, it also gave me a visual edge on stage. Anywhere we played, you can bet that such an old-style guitar around the neck of a 15-year-old boy can really grab attention. The ES335 became iconic of the Coulee-Men look and sound. It also assisted immensely in laying the groundwork for my development as a musician. The Casino was a gift to me from a family friend, and I was crazy about it because it was the first Beatle guitar I had owned. Back in 1964, Paul McCartney had bought a 62 Casino and showed it to John Lennon and George Harrison, and they both fell in love with it. They used their Casinos exclusively on tour in 1966, and John and George eventually both had the finishes of theirs stripped off to the bare wood in the late 60s. And John used his for the rest of his career, and Paul continues to use his to this day. It became the ultimate Beatle guitar. As the Coulee-Men were coming to an end by 2016, getting that Epiphone Casino was the start of a new chapter in my music ventures. I had kept my guitar playing exclusive to the Epiphone DOT for nearly 3 years, so a new look and sound was symbolic of a new era as the Coulee-Men had started to fade. This guitar has Epiphone P90 pickups. It's had some upgrades as well, including Rover tuners, the Bigsby B7, and Gibson top hat control knobs. So now we're on to my fourth guitar, the Hofner Contemporary Violin Bass 500/1. The guitar I had dreamt about for years. Another Beatle guitar, and after saving and saving, I finally got it weeks before I started college. It's a German guitar with genuine German Hofner staple pickups. Because of its hollow body and flat wound strings, it sounds a lot like a stand-up bass, which is very unique for an electric instrument. My lovely Hoffy has been on every record I've done since I've owned it, and it's also got some playtime with another group I started in college. For now, it sits beautifully in my studio, waiting for the next track to be laid down. My fifth guitar, another Epiphone, the Epiphone Texan 1964 reissue. I know you've probably heard enough of me drooling over Beatle guitars, but this is the last one. Now you've most likely heard this guitar before, even if you don't think you have. Paul McCartney had his 1964 Epiphone Texan, which he played on the all-famous Yesterday, the most covered song of all time. With all of its beauty set aside, the Epiphone Texan has a punchy sound and resonates beautifully with its large dreadnought body. This guitar is still new, but it does have its own claim to fame. It's been featured in my 2017 Home music video. This guitar is wonderful. It's also a very long-awaited upgrade from my Lion Acoustic, which is over 10 years old. And finally, for my last guitar, number 6, the Squier Vintage Modified Jazzmaster. Now, I've never been a fan of Squier, but a friend of mine had been telling me about this Squier guitar that he was saving up for, and when he picked up his Vintage Modified Jazzmaster, I was amazed. This was a quality guitar. With Seymour Duncan pickups, this baby had true tone straight out of the 60s. Her finish is beautiful. The maple neck is sturdy and smooth. This is not like any Squier product. Jazzmasters are signature for the surf rock sound, so I found this used one pretty quick and bought it up. It's the quickest decision I've ever made for a big purchase. For $325, I got a quality guitar that I just can't get over. So that's my guitar collection as of 2018. Most of them have had a pretty significant impact on my music ventures. Some may not stay, but there are definitely those that will be with me for as long as I live. Thanks for watching.